Welcome again to a Shortstop with a Shortstop. Today we're going to talk about kindness. In the sporting world, and particularly baseball, it can teach you a lot of things about life. It can teach you not to give up when you're 10 runs down. It can teach you to work on your weaknesses to try to make them your strengths. It can teach you how to be a good teammate. It can teach you that self-discipline is the best discipline that you can possibly have. It can teach you that people may be going through low moments and that you can help those type of teammates out when they're going through those low moments. I was watching a video the other day, and it was a father talking about his son, and he was at a fundraising dinner for their school. But sometimes people talk about how mean children can be, but they rarely talk about how nice they can be. At this fundraising dinner, it was for a school for the learning of disabled children. And the father of a student delivered a speech that never would be forgotten by all those who attended. He started by saying that God does everything with perfection. Yet my son Shay, his name was Shay, cannot learn things as other children do. He cannot understand things that other children do. And he made a statement right after that. He said, "Where is God's perfection in my child?" And the audience just went cold black steel. They just shut down and didn't know where he was going with this. But he said, "I believe that when God brings a child like Shay into the world, an opportunity to realize the divine plan presents itself. And it comes in a way that people treat that child." And then he told this following story. He was with his son Shay, and they were walking by a park. And in that park, there was a bunch of kids out there playing baseball. And his son Shay asked his father, he said, "Do you think they'll let me play, Dad?" And the dad didn't really know what to say to him. But then he started thinking, he said, well, this might give him a sense of belonging. So the father walked over onto the baseball field and talked to the players. And he said, "Do you all mind if my son Shay plays with you?" And the kids kind of had a blank look on their face, but the one kid kind of took charge, and he said, "Sure." He said, "We're in the 8th inning right now. We're down by 6 runs, but he can be on my team." So they gave him a glove and put him in the outfield. And then it came their turn to bat in the 8th inning. They scored 3 runs. So now they're down by 3. So in the bottom of the 9th, they were still down by 3 runs. And Shay's team eventually got 3 runners on base. And it was Shay's turn to bat. And the father sitting up there in the stands was wondering, are they going to let him hit? Because he doesn't even really know how to hold a bat. But yeah, they put him up to the plate, and the pitcher came in about 10 feet and threw the ball underhanded Shay. Shay took a swing and missed the ball completely. And the pitcher walked in another 5 feet and threw it a little bit softer to him. And he hit a real weak ground ball. And all the kids on Shay's team started hollering, "Run, Shay, run!" And all through the excitement, he ran to first base. The pitcher picked up the ball that was hit and threw the ball out into right field. He threw it over the first baseman. He did it on purpose. And the right fielder kind of understood what the pitcher was doing. So he ran and got the ball. Now his teammates are saying, "Run, Shea, run to second." So he runs to second. The right fielder picks up the ball and throws it completely over the third baseman's head. So he makes it to third base, and all of his teammates and even the guys on defense are telling Shea, "Run, run home, Shea, run home." And he ran home. And he touched home plate. He hit a grand slam. His team won. And his father sees this, and tears are just running down his cheeks. But his son was just jumping up and down with the gladness and joy of he had never seen in his kid. But it gave him a sense of belonging. And these kids out there that let Shea play, they showed kindness. They showed love. They showed compassion. And sometimes that's what the game of baseball can show us, or any other type of sport. But in our life, we need to show compassion. We need to show kindness. And we need to show love in everything that we possibly do. Christians must love. We must love one another in John 13, verses 34 and 35. We must love with brotherly love in Romans chapter 12 and verse 10. And by love, we serve one another in Galatians chapter 5 and verse 13. How can we serve one another? Somebody may be going through something physically wrong with them. Somebody may be going through something mentally wrong. Somebody could possibly be going through something spiritually wrong. But we could be that one person that could show the kindness, the compassion, and the love that they need to pick them up, to give them that sense of belonging. The importance of love. In John chapter 13, verse 35, the world will see if we are being compassionate in our lives, how we treat other people. And in John chapter 5 and verse 44, it tells us to love our enemies and pray for those that persecute us. If we're trying to be the best Christian that we can possibly be, we are going to be persecuted and we are going to have enemies. But God tells us to love them, to have compassion for them, and to be kind to them. What are some expressions of love that we could possibly have? One would be patience. One would be kind. One would be generous. One that we could show that love is not puffed up. We could be courteous. And we can be sincere. Jesus seemed to go to the poor and to the sick and to the tired. Why do you think he did something like that? Most probably because they had the softest hearts. They were listening. Their hearts were acceptable and accepting the teachings that he was giving. And we need to try to go to the poor, to the sick, and to the tired as often as we possibly can, and show them that compassion, show them that Jesus loves them as much as we possibly can. There was a film on YouTube that I watched a long time ago. It happened 13 years ago. This young girl up in Oregon, in the state of Oregon, was playing college softball. She was a senior. And she had never hit a home run before. And in her last at bat that she ever had as a college softball player, she hit a home run. It went over the fence. But the ball, as she was rounding first base, she missed first base. And so she tried to stop as quickly as she possibly could. But when she did, she tore her ACL in her knee. And she was laying there on the field, could not round the bases. If one of her teammates come out and touched her, she would have been called immediately out. But the other team showed the most compassionate, loving, kind thing that I think I've ever seen in my life. The shortstop and the second baseman picked her up and carried her around the. Now this is the opposing team. They picked her up and carried her around and lifted her to where she could touch each base and complete the home run. And this, to me, is one of the most top 10 things that I've ever seen in the sporting worlds in my life. And as I watched it, tears came down my eyes the first time I ever watched it. And still, when I look at it today, it brings emotions to me because of what they did for that girl. We could do that today as Christians. We can pick people up and we can carry them around the bases. Let's let the Bible teach us how to live our lives, how to be kind, how to love, how to be as compassionate as we can possibly be for other people, and teach them the gospel that Jesus wants to teach them. Learn as much as we can from baseball, but also let's learn as much as we can from Jesus Christ. Thank you again for being with a shortstop.